360 Live. Ethan Greenberg and Eric Allen here live from the field at MetLife Stadium. EA Jets-Falcons preseason action under an hour away from kickoff. Football's here.
Well, I got a question for you. Before we just went on the air, you're laughing and grinning ear to ear. What is going on right now, Greens?
It's a great time of year, simply put. This is the first time since the Jets have taken the field since the turn of the new year. It's been 7 months. I'm excited. A lot of new pieces on both sides of the ball. If you're a Jets fan, you have to be excited.
Well, it's been a couple weeks of training camp. I'm sure these guys are very eager to see somebody else across from them. One thing we got to point out about an hour before kickoff, like you mentioned, Greens, is the one thing you want to make sure we do see in the preseason is no injuries.
Yes.
Last night, the Washington Redskins lost a talented rookie, Darius Geis, and it appears he's going to be gone for the year. Jets safety Jamal Adams, who played with him at LSU, tweeted about that today, Greens. So the number one priority in the preseason, get through with a clean bill of health.
And tonight, the only Jets that are listed as that they will not play, Kelvin Beachum, he's in an ankle boot. He's week to week. Elijah McGuire fractured his foot a couple weeks ago. And lastly, Rontez Miles, who's on the physically unable to perform list. So those are the guys that won't play for the Jets. For the Falcons, Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman, they won't play for the Birds. A lot of Jets fans want to know what's going to happen at quarterback tonight.
Well, we'll have to see what's going to happen. Just a few moments ago, they were all out here. Teddy Bridgewater wearing the baseball cap, Sam Darnold, who is making his NFL debut, albeit in the preseason, Josh McCown. They were all out here warming up. Todd Bowles said throughout the week that all three have to be ready to play, will be ready to play. We'll see what happens. Greens, as you know, we observe practice throughout the week, and the guys who were getting the most work were Teddy Bridgewater and they aforementioned Sam Darnold. Last year's preseason opener right here at MetLife Stadium, Josh McCown played one series and then he exited to the sidelines. If McCown plays tonight, I don't anticipate you'll see him long.
No, I think that you hit the nail right on the head. Bringing up last year, because I assume if McCown plays, it'll be for about the same amount of time as he did last year. So using Darnold here, obviously, he's the guy that a lot of Jets fans want to see, the number 3 overall. But how about this rookie class, EA? Because at the time, it was 6 draft picks. Perry Nickerson may not play tonight, the corner, the 6th-round pick out of Tulane, because he hurt his hamstring a couple days ago at practice. But this class as a whole, I think, has flashed throughout training camp so far.
They have. You got to start with Nathan Shepard, the 3rd-round pick from Fort Hays State, on the unofficial depth chart provided by the Jets communications department. Shepard in there with the first unit, and we've seen that throughout training camp here, Greens. Shep has been running with the ones. Tonight, I don't know if Steve McClendon is going to go, so up there along that defensive line, the starting defensive line, it might be Leonard Williams, the beast, Mike Pennell, number 98. He casts a large shadow. And then Nathan Shepard. But the Jets continue to use a rotation up there along that defensive line, and it includes 6th-round pick for Alonzo Fatukasi from Connecticut, number 94, who's done some good things himself. And then on the offensive side of the ball, how about Chris Herndon, who's flashed a number of times? I know he pressed Jason Witten and Anthony Beck. Those are two guys.
And Wayne Krebet.
Yeah, those are guys who played in the National Football League at a high level. I like the way he comes out of his routes. He's a natural pass catcher. He's got some dog in him, meaning that he'll get after you in the blocking game. And Trenton Cannon, I would anticipate he gets a ton of work tonight because Thomas Rawls has been bothered by a training camp injury, hasn't practiced of late.
And McGuire's not playing tonight, too.
That's right. So Cannon, he's vying for a return job, but he's going to get plenty of work in the offensive backfield, Greens.
Him and George Atkinson are the two guys that have been carrying the workload at training camp so far. You mentioned the return game. This is a very interesting position battle because head coach Todd Bowles, special teams coordinator Brant Boyer both say the majority of special teams position battles are determined by what happens under the lights. And this is your first crack at that, whether you're Trenton Cannon as a returner, whether you're Taylor Bertolet, the kicker. Cairo Santos signed with the team in the offseason, but he's someone that hasn't kicked a lot because he's been bothered by a tight hammy. So it'll be
it's an opportunity for Bertolette.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there as a returner and a specialist.
Well, here's the thing. When you're looking at a 90-man roster, Greens, bottom line is you're not only these depth guys when you're trying out to be the last guy in certain positional groups, you have to make an impact on special teams. And the other thing is you're not only auditioning for the New York Jets, you're auditioning for 31 other teams because the Jets are loaded at some positional groups, namely safety. We've been so impressed with what the Jets have in the defensive backfield at that position. Even after Jamal Adams and Marcus May, you're thinking about Doug Middleton, your guy back there. He's done a lot of good things. He was getting those number one reps when May was hobbled in the spring, coming back from the ankle injury. How about J.J. Wilcox? He's a guy who's got championship pedigree. He had 2 interceptions of Sam Darnold the other day, and the list goes on there.
How about Terrence Brooks?
There it is, T. Brooks.
T. Brooks last year was a key special teams contributor, and as a defender, he was the AFC Defensive Player of the Week in Week 3 because he notched 2 picks against the Dolphins. But you mentioned the competition and the depth of this team. This is the most depth that's been on the Jets since Todd Bowles has become coach. And he said this the other day, that with more depth comes more steep competition, and we talked about the special teams competition, but if you look throughout the roster, there's going to be a lot of interesting position battles that'll play out from now until September 1st when cuts come around.
Well, I just took a peek behind us, Greens, and you know who I saw behind us? Isaiah Crowell. He's a new addition who we're going to see out here tonight for the Jets. He's in uniform. We'll have to see how much work he gets as far as the game is concerned, but I've been impressed with him on the practice field because he wasn't used much as a pass catcher in Cleveland, at least last season, but you go back to his numbers in 2016, Greens, I think he had like 40 receptions. He looks fluid and natural as a receiver. On the unofficial depth chart, he's listed number 1 and then Bilal Powell. I kind of think of them as co-number 1s.
Well, not only that, but Crowell, his rookie year, his offensive coordinator was Kyle Shanahan, and he ran the West Coast system. So when I asked him, are you comfortable in Jeremy Bates' system, which is a West Coast system, Crowell said, yeah, I had a very successful rookie season. He didn't catch the ball a whole lot, but throughout his time in Cleveland, you saw that he was a viable receiver.
And another thing is short yardage, 21 touchdowns in 4 years. In a couple of those seasons, he was approaching double-digit touchdowns. He is a guy who, when he's close to the end zone, he can punch it in over the goal line. We talked about Beachum being out tonight because we're talking about the offensive side of the ball, the left tackle, the veteran left tackle. So you would think that means opportunity for a swing tackle like Ben Jalana or the veteran Brent Quale. Probably, what are they going to do up front? Maybe they split reps at left tackle in the first half.
Ethan Greenberg and Eric Allen live here from MetLife Stadium. Jets-Falcons under an hour away. Earlier today, Olivia Landis caught up with Diana Rossini of ESPN. Let's see what she had to say.
Fun. Have fun. Jets on 3, 1, 2, 3, Jets! That was cool.
The Jets. Who are you looking forward to most seeing out on the field tonight?
It's the obvious one, but who isn't looking forward to seeing the rookie quarterback in Sam Darnold? There's been so much chatter about how much he has progressed in this short period of time as a rookie with the Jets. And, of course, he missed those practices, dealing with that contract situation. But what we saw in that green and white scrimmage, I think really started the ball rolling for this guy could win the starting job. So I think it all starts tonight. It's going to be really interesting to see him handle playing at MetLife Stadium in front of the fans and finally against a defense that isn't a defense that he's familiar with. And also I'm looking forward to seeing Andre Roberts out here. He's a veteran. He's played with Arizona. He's played with Washington. And, they have him, taking returns. But I think he has a chance with this wide receiver group to win a job with the starters if he comes out here and shows he can ball.
How critical is this preseason play for rookies like Sam Darnold?
Getting the reps, getting the experience is really what's most important at this point for rookies because they have no idea. They think they know, but they never know. And anytime you ever talk to a rookie after their first game, they always say the same thing. It's that, dealing with the nerves and the anxiety. And finally, when it settles in, there's still so many challenges. So for Sam Darnold, this is just going to be a good chance for him to really understand what it's like to play in the NFL.
Diane, you've been covering the Jets for a few years now. What are some of the differences you've noticed with this team this year?
The most optimistic group I have been around in years. And I know fans hear that and they think, oh, yeah, they always say they're going to win. But I think this group feels a little bit of anger from last season and the way that ended. And I do think that the selection of Sam Darnold in the draft started this sort of ball of enthusiasm that this organization is about to take a turn here, and a turn towards positive, and a turn towards wins and victories. And I think this is the year that things get really good for the New York Jets.
Thanks, Diana.
Thanks, guys.
Ethan Greenberg and Eric Allen here at MetLife Stadium. Jets-Falcons under an hour away. When we were looking at Olivia Landis' interview with Diana Rossini, the quarterbacks ran out. Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, and Josh McCown all in uniform tonight. Also, feel free to leave a question because we will take your question if you leave one. But if not,
how about that, Greens? You're gonna be at it because you're gonna have to take a look at your phone while rifling off questions to me. You ready to handle that?
Yeah, well, that's what millennials are here for anyway.
Speaking of millennial, how about Sam Darnold?
He's younger than I am.
I'll tell you what, he's not too much on social media, but
he doesn't have a Twitter account. That's impressive.
But he
is impressive.
But he has an Instagram account, Greens.
Yes, he does. I mean, if you don't have a Twitter, you got to do something.
Yeah.
But regardless, as the Jets run out of the tunnel here.
Hey, how about the Jets
okay.
social? Speaking of social media, how about the Jets social media team? The way they covered Sam Darnold's entrance after the Jets and his agent, his representation had reached an agreement on a new deal. He came out, running out there on the field.
It looked like it was a movie scene.
Yeah, it was epic. Number 14 coming out.
You could have put the Titanic music behind it, and it would have looked like it was part of a Hollywood movie.
I don't know about that Titanic music.
Okay, well.
That's a little dramatic.
Yes, it was a dramatic moment. Okay, let's get back to football here. Again, Jets-Falcons under an hour away. Preseason opener.
New Jack City's getting ready to come out here.
Well,
right
it's
now,
funny you
huh?
mentioned that because I was going to ask who you're excited to see a standout of camp, and someone that I'm excited to see. I wrote about this earlier today. Is Derek Bones Jones, the second-year cornerback out of Ole Miss.
Okay.
Because this is a guy, former receiver at college, then he transitioned to offense, defense, stayed defense. 6th-round pick last year. Made the team, didn't dress a whole lot, and this training camp, he's flashed.
I'll tell you what, Greens. Bones Jones is long, and like you said, he's new to the position. So he's got a big ceiling in terms of the cornerback position, and he's really going to make a run at a roster spot here. He's been active in terms of his hands, taking away the football. One guy who's not going to play tonight for the Jets is Marcus May, the veteran safety, just walked out here with the rest of the defensive backs. He is in street clothes. No surprise there because the Jets are going to err on the side of caution. Remember, he didn't take any team reps in the spring. Jets are gradually working him up. But everything's fine with Marcus May. No surprise there. As I started the show, Greens, the most important thing in the preseason is health.
All right, a couple fan questions here. No shocker having to do with the quarterbacks. EA, who is going to get more playing time, Sam Darnold or Teddy Bridgewater? And going off of that, how much time do you think Sam will get tonight?
I wouldn't be surprised at all, Greens, if you see the rookie get a half action. We don't know. We'll see what happens. With that being said, we talked about McCown before. You might even see an even amount of reps for Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold. I think those guys are going to be about the game. This game. The theme of this game is what they do. McCown is not going to see a lot of time, and maybe McCown doesn't play at all. We'll find out in about, 40 minutes?
Okay, going back to camp standouts here. We talked about Bones Jones in New Jack City. Give me another position or someone else that you're excited to see. I'm gonna lead things off here with the tight ends because you talked about Chris Herndon before. He's flashed.
Yep.
Well, Jordan Leggett's been banged up throughout training camp, and last year he was banged up for the majority of the year. Fans want to see him out on the field. I want to see him out of the field. Eric Tomlinson, Coach Bowles described as the rock of the unit. Yeah. And someone like Neil Sterling, who was on and off of the team last year, he's really come a long way from week 17 to now because he's someone that's a very viable receiving option, and he's also flashed at times during camp.
Sterling is athletic. He can get down the field. He's got nice hands. I've really liked what I've seen out of him out of training camp. Much like Herndon, I think probably those two are the most athletic in the bunch. Tough break for Jordan Leggett because he's still dealing with some knee maintenance. I think Todd Bowles said about it the other day. And then you got a veteran like Clive Walford, who Sam Darnold has become awfully fond of here in training camp. We saw a beautiful connection showcasing Darnold's arm strength last week at the Green and White at Rutgers when Darnold was back in the pocket and he threw all the way across the field to the sideline, and Walford climbed the ladder, went up and got it, kept his feet in bounds.
Training camp's been going on for a couple of weeks, but tonight is really where the fun begins for this team and the position battles. Earlier today, not only did Olivia Landis catch up with Diana Rossini, she also caught up with NFL Network's Kim Jones. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
Reporting from MetLife Stadium, I'm Olivia Landis, joined by NFL Network's Kim Jones. Kim, first preseason game for the Jets. Is there an individual that you're really looking forward to watching tonight?
I think his name starts with a Sam and ends with Darnold, yes. Listen, the last two nights at MetLife, we're going to look back at this weekend. We saw the numbers 1 and 2 picks last night, Baker and Saquon. Tonight we see Sam. It's going to be fun.
So what is going to be one of the highlights of being able to see a rookie quarterback that was so anticipated play on the field tonight?
I think to see the challenge of his playing against the Falcons defense. We know it's preseason. Atlanta knows it's preseason, but they are a veteran defense. And I think it'll be interesting to see if he transfers what we've seen on the practice field over. Now, listen, Josh is great. I enjoy watching Josh McCown. Can't find a better guy. Teddy has had a really good spring, in particular with the Jets, and we'll see what he does tonight. But there's always intrigue about a rookie quarterback, right?
So how does putting a rookie quarterback like Sam up against a veteran defense help them grow?
Well, and by the time he gets in there, he won't see those veterans. So I probably should correct myself a little bit on that. But I do think that he'll face players trying to make a team, right? And players trying to make a good impression on their head coach. So I just think it'll show his ability to adjust. We know that he can improvise. We know he can take off and run. So I do think it'll be fun to see, especially if they get a little pressure on him, how he reacts.
How critical of a time is this preseason for not only rookies, but newcomers trying to make a team?
Well, because they're trying to make the team, to make that 53, it's highly critical. I don't think every snap we see in preseason is, because Sam Darnold's going to make the team. So if he uses it as an opportunity to learn and grow, that's what you want from Darnold. He's different from the guy, the 5th or 6th cornerback trying to make a roster. So I think for him, the expectation is obviously different. The path will be different. But you're right, Olivia. Players are going to be scrapping to show that they belong on this field tonight, because it's an NFL field, and they all want to be NFL players.
So, Kim, finally, what are some highlights you're hoping to see come out of this Jets team tonight?
I want to see the secondary. I love watching Jamal Adams play. I want to see how he plays. I want to see them rush the passer. Maybe they can't get to Matt Ryan. Maybe they can. Maybe Matt Ryan's not in there for very long, and we know Julio's not going to play. But I want to see how they can attack Matt Ryan. And then offensively, you want to see the O-line hold up, and you want to see, presumably Josh McCown as the starter, make some plays with his receivers, and then we'll all wait to see Sam.
Great. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Olivia.
Ethan Greenberg and Eric Allen live here from MetLife Stadium. Jets-Falcons around the corner, preseason opener for both teams here. EA, talking about injuries before, someone that suited up tonight, wide receiver Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, and Pryor has flashed in camp at times. The other day, I thought he made the reception to camp when Sam Darnold floated up a fade to him, and he was covered by your guy, Bones Jones. Bones, no doubt about it, you had good coverage on the play. But sometimes a guy like Pryor, when he's covered, he's open. And at 6'5", he went up, breathed, and he grabbed that ball and brought it down.
Terrell Pryor doesn't have hands, he has paws. He is a big freaking guy, okay? This receivers unit is talented, top to bottom, but Pryor is a big guy, a tremendous athlete. Used to play basketball in high school, had the option basketball or football, of course. Went to Ohio State and then was drafted as a quarterback or was signed as a quarterback. He actually has the longest quarterback touchdown run in NFL history, 93 yards for the Raiders. And when you spoke to Hugh Jackson, his former coach when he was with Cleveland at the owners' meetings, Hugh said this guy has speed. This guy has size, but he has speed too. So this guy might be an X factor for this receiving corps.
Well, I'm excited about this receiving core overall. We think about Robbie Anderson, who probably would have had 1,000, definitely would have had 1,000 yards last year.
Put it out there. Put it out there. He would have.
If Josh McCown didn't go down in Week 13. Jermaine Kearse, career year last year after Mike McCagnon acquired him 9 days before the regular season. Quincy Enunwa's probably not going to be in the lineup tonight because he's dealing with the hand injury, but he showed some explosion early in camp, Greens. And then we mentioned prior, going to be interesting to see when all these four guys are on the field, you have a lot of flexibility, you have a lot of versatility as far as Jeremy Bates is concerned.
And Pryor made some headlines the other week because the Redskins, who the Jets will practice with next week, might want to have his head coach Bull said, I'm not worried about it. Not only that, though, EA, center Spencer Long, he's someone that the Jets acquired in the offseason, another former Redskin. So far in camp, it seems that the offensive line communication has been going on par and actually been pretty good. Brian Winters said that he's encouraged by what he sees. And what do you think that this line can do with the addition of someone like Spencer Long?
Well, the first thing that I think about with the offensive line is one of the more underrated moves of the offseason is that Rick Dennison is here. He's paired up with Jeremy Bates again. Those two were together in Denver. When you think about the Jets' offensive line now, in the run game, you're going to go to a zone blocking system, the stretch play. What is the offensive line going to try to do? Make the defense move laterally and let your backs take advantage of their vision and then explode through the hole. Because it's awfully tough for 300-pound linemen, Greens, when they're running laterally to stop on a dime, when Isaiah Crowell, when Bilal Powell, when even a guy like Trenton Cannon are coming right at you.
Wrapping things up here from the field at
gotta
MetLife
wrap it
Stadium.
up?
No, soon. We got one more question. We're going.
I'm just getting started.
All right, we're going with dark
It's
horses
happy
here.
hour. It's Friday night.
Who's someone that we haven't talked about that you're excited to see, maybe because that person hasn't been a member of the Green and White in years past, or maybe it's someone that you're curious to see their progress from years 1 to 2, 2 to 3, so on and so forth?
Greens, you probably know where we're going to go with this. Let's go to the outside linebacker position. Let's talk about a guy like Brandon Copeland, who flashed in the green and white scrimmage last week at Rutgers, the former Detroit Lion. He's taken first-team reps at times because the Jets like to continue to mix and match. With that being said, Jordan Jenkins, you would think you pencil him in as a starter at the outside linebacker position. Opposite him, Josh Martin, Kevin Green said early in camp, this guy's the best pass rusher on my team. But watch Copeland tonight, number 51, and then across from him, a guy who's been paired with who's just a very good football player and gets after it. Frankie Louvu. Remember the name.
That's EA's boy. Again, that's all we have here from the field. Ethan Greenberg and Eric Allen. Jets-Falcons around the corner, 7:30. You can watch it on CBS2. You can also watch it on NewYorkJets.com. That's right. It's going to be streamed. And for all your post-game coverage, be sure to check out NewYorkJets.com as well.